Hi everyone. Yep. I'm glad that the last panel ended with some figures on like DAO treasuries. If I remember correctly, it was something like 14 billion. I hope that by the end of this talk, I will persuade you that that figure is maybe just slightly incorrect. My background is I've been an Ethereum developer for 6 years, and I'm the co-founder and CEO at a company called Sablier. We're building a token distribution protocol. People use us for like vesting, airdrops, and on-chain payroll. And I'm also very active on Twitter. And over these years, I've seen people use TVL back and forth. It's gotten a little less popular nowadays, but it's still arguably one of the biggest highlights projects use to brag about how big they are. And this pisses me off a bit because many of those figures are not accurate. But we have a problem because at the same time you can't just write it off to zero. I want to use this analogy with quantum physics, and for the physicists in the room, I suppose some people here know the Schrodinger's cat experiment, where actually let's raise our hand if you know about this, so I can get a sense of, okay, there we go. Everyone loves physics in Cluj. There's only like a few who don't know, but for them I'll just explain it. It's basically in quantum physics, the state of a quantum system does not exist until you measure it. It can be in multiple states at the same time, and that thing is called superposition. And yeah, the cat is both alive and dead until observed. And I will use this to compare TVL and TOV, which I will tell you about in the future slides. But yeah, so let's look at the classic TVL and what it actually measures. So fundamentally, it's about like you take the price of the token. This is like Uniswap or Coinbase, Binance, whatever, and you multiply it by the token count, and you get a magic number. And the token count is the number of tokens sitting in the protocol. So this can be like a smart contract, and it has a specific value. And this makes protocols look bigger than they are, right? You have like tokens with a 10 million market cap and protocols with like 100 million TVL from that token alone. That can be right. And in fact, like what happens is that we have DAO treasuries and invested tokens. They're like inflated. And to persuade you that that TOV makes sense, I will use my own company's TVL, and I will deflate it and give you like a more accurate figure. We will take two extremes, the one reported using classic TVL, and the one reported with the other extreme, which is that to say that, oh, this is worth zero, and try to persuade you that the truth is somewhere in the middle. So one of our Sablier contracts, when I performed the analysis in October 2023, had a TVL, like a classic TVL of 51.8 million. And this was a combination of like hundreds of different tokens and assets, ERC20s. And the problem was that 48.4 million was various tokens that were not, like they were just minted, they were not Ether, they were not stable coins. And the question is, are those vesting tokens worthless? Like this is the big problem. And I will answer that in a bit. This is the DeFi Llama dashboard. It's nice, 51.8 million. That's a good number for our investors. Was very helpful for fundraising. But I'm like trying to come up with like an honest answer, like what is the actual value of those assets? And I came up with this solution, frankly, because I was being asked by our investors, like what is the value that you guys secure? And I was saying 51 million, but they were like, okay, but what's in there? And I came up with this idea called Total Obtainable Value, or in short, TOV. I put it on Twitter like in October 2023, so almost like a year and a half ago. And the basic idea is, what if a hacker steals the funds? Like, what if you have North Korea assume the worst happens, and they take the funds out of your protocol? How much can they obtain? They can go to Uniswap and like dump everything. How much can they obtain in dollars or in ETH? For the record, we have never been hacked at Sablier, so this is purely hypothetical. But it's still like a worthwhile thought experiment. It is very much worth it because this is like a real hypothetical liquidation value. It's not fantasy numbers. So let's assume that Sablier gets wrecked. Again, we have never been hacked, but this is a thought experiment. So like a hacker would take the tokens, they would swap them for USDC and ETH. They will probably run to some country where they cannot be tracked and retire on a beach. And let's look at some specific tokens that were locked up in Sablier 1.5 years ago. And specifically, we'll look at the comp governance token, Fox from Shapeshift, and Ichi. And the value reported on DeFi Llama and Etherscan was something about 48 million for these tokens. But if you were to go to 1inch, which is like a DEX aggregator, to try to sell those tokens, like liquidate everything on the open market, you would get something like 879K USDC for comp, 840K USDC for Fox, and 145K USDC for Ichi, which brings us to this TOV value of 1.86 million. And that is actual hard cash that if Sablier gets hacked, I mean, our users would lose a lot of money, of course, but this is the actual value that we are securing. And I argue that this is a method that can be applied to other protocols as well. The only assets that are immune from this issue of TOV are the stablecoins like USDC and ETH, and maybe like highly liquid assets like the Uniswap token or something like that. They're like so big that you can liquidate everything, and it's the same, approximately the same value as that shown by DeFi Llama and Etherscan. And these are the quotes on 1inch. And TOV can, of course, be developed. It's not static. It's not just like a single query to 1inch. You can do cross-chain liquidity. You can, partially sell on Binance, Coinbase. You can slice up your orders, or you can sell over time. This is like more like an advanced feature for the future. But in the short term, I do believe, and I do want to promote TOV as just like a better approach compared to standard TVL that DeFi users, analysts, and maybe VCs can use for like appraising, like tracking the values in smart contracts. And yeah, a meme, because why not? Memes are always helpful. And I will pause this after the talk. Yeah. And the conclusion is that TOV is better than TVL. It's just like much more accurate. It's fair. It's fairer than TVL for everyone, not just the DeFi users, but also for the founders. And so they have a better idea of like what value is in their protocols. And if anyone from DeFi Llama, Etherscan, and so forth is watching this talk, please integrate TOV. It's not easy, but you're gonna do the industry a big service. The core idea is here, like DAO treasuries investing tokens are funds at risk, but they're not worth 14 billion. They're not worth 0. So it's something in between. And no more vanity metrics. We need to grow up as an industry. And so yeah, please integrate TOV, and thank you in advance. And that was the end. Thank you very much. You can follow me on X if you scan the QR code. And yeah, thank you for coming to my talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bo. I believe we have one question. What is TOV a measure of? What do we prove by this metric?
It is a dollar value of the ERC20 tokens deposited in a smart contract that is queried by dumping everything on 1inch. That's like a one-sentence explainer.
Good. Do we have any more questions? Question over there. Can you just give me 2 questions? Can you give me a second? I'll grab my mic.
So besides TVL, what other vanity metrics do you see people using in the crypto space, and what else should they use instead of that?
If you look at layer 2s, they talk about these like ecosystem projects, and many of them are the same, like the graph. Like the graph is deployed on 30 chains. And it's like this cartel of projects that are deploying on the same chains all over again. So I think we should be more specific about what it means as an ecosystem. Or like if you converted like a Web2 company to a Web3, yeah, that's a big win for your chain. For example, Chilis is this like sports blockchain that I like a lot because they're bringing like normies to Ethereum EVM ecosystem. That's one thing. And the other thing is like daily active users again on chains. Many of those are like bots or MEV bots or like trading bots or whatever. So in their defense, it's like impossible to differentiate EOA like a simple account from like a bot account. Yeah, so those would be two that I would put on the list of like vanity metrics. Is like how big our ecosystem is like the same 30 infrastructure projects deployed on every chain, and like daily active users. Maybe we should. I don't know. I don't have a solution for the daily active users problem, but maybe next year. Thank you.
We have one more question here.
Question is, I don't know, it's kind of bad to compare or to try to really poke holes at other protocols, but have you tried converting this TVL value to TOV for other popular protocols to see how it would change the rankings between them or the popularity between them?
That's an interesting idea. To be fully upfront, I haven't actually developed, like implemented any TOV tracker myself yet. I'm just promoting the idea. I didn't have time to do it. But yes, I would be very curious to see how that changes the rankings. I would suspect the big projects like Aave will stay up there because they have ETH and stablecoins. But when you go in the middle of the like rankings, yeah, I think there will be some interesting, new leaders out there.
One more question.
Yeah, hi. I don't know if I agree with you completely on this. Like, I feel like if you go back to TradFi, you mostly have order books, and then you don't have this like deep liquidity that you see in AMMs. And now we have center limit AMMs, and the trend is for DEXs to go into order books as well. So I feel like at some point this TOV notion might not be very good for a token, because obviously you can do so much more. Like for example, comp. Okay, let's say it's not huge in AMMs as liquidity, but if I were a hacker, I would probably first short the hell out of it, and then just make more money that way. So I feel like obviously order books don't let you see the whole picture, but I don't know if it's enough. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that is good feedback. What I was saying in return is that with crypto and like Web3, it's like so much easier to like tokenize assets. You can go from 0 to hero with your token in a couple of days, weeks. And that will lead to a world with significantly more financial assets than in like TradFi. And for just like small cap assets, which is what we're dealing with at Sablier, valuing them using TVL is just like overblown. It's like too much. But at the same time, it's not fair to say that it's zero. I mean, literally our customers are paying their bills using those tokens. So there's something in between there. And I think you're right. Like as a token matures, it grows, and it's like you can get off the training wheels, and you no longer need TOV. But in this like wild west of early stage tokens that have low market caps, which is something more difficult to achieve in the TradFi markets, because I don't know, you have regulations. You have to like in like biotech, you have to raise millions of dollars before you can have your product out, right? It's like a different. You kind of like come on the market already like as a grown-up. Here, you can do something out of your basement. And how do we value them? Well, I introduced TOV, and let's see how it goes. Like, I don't know, I haven't implemented it yet. I hope somebody will take the idea and implement it. Maybe I'll implement it myself sometime, at a hackathon or something. But to end, I think for the small value tokens, TOV can actually be super helpful because it will give them more accurate metrics, and they can use it to fundraise, to be like honest to your investors and so forth. So
So the formula that you use is instant exchange of that token to ETH or USDC. But if you slowly drip a big amount of money, probably the market would stabilize the price, and your TOV would be the TVL-ish.
Well, yes, but this is about like hackers. So North Korea in their track record, they're like dumping everything the moment they're like getting the tokens. They're using that money to survive because otherwise nobody's gonna send money to North Korea. So TOV is about like instant liquidity that you can get if it gets hacked. Yeah, if you have genuine normal users who hold the tokens, the TOV wouldn't accurately measure the value over time. But the instant liquidity is actually just trying to map what happens when your protocol is hacked. And all the black hat hackers in the world are basically dumping it as soon as possible.
Do we have any more questions? No? Oh, the gentleman. Oh, you have to turn on the mic, sir. Press the button. Thank you.
I'm struggling a little bit. I mean, it's clearly a useful metric, but I'm wondering if it is fair or it is accurate. I'm not sure which one of those it is or if it is at all, because if you do this with Apple stock, whatever, you'll get Apple shares at the price that is below their cash reserves and so on. So is it fair or is it accurate or is it not, and it is just useful?
I think it's fairer than classic TVL and fairer than zero. It obviously can be improved. But I would say it's fairer. Whether it's more accurate, I don't know, but I would say it's fairer because it's clearly not worth 51 million. Like those random tokens, like Ichi tokens, like nobody heard of Ichi. It's not 51 million, but at the same time, it's not zero because some people are getting those. So it's like something in between, right? With the Apple stock, I think Apple is so liquid that if you obtained even like, I don't know, 2%, 1%, you can liquidate everything. So as I said before, like if a token matures, you can get off the training wheels and you no longer need this. But this is for the, I don't know, first 1, 2, 3 years of tokens. And we will have a lot of, like young tokens in the future, or at least we hope so. So I hope I answered your question.